Peace to the family, peace to the family. Peace to the family, man. Listen, man, happy Million Man March Day, first of all. You understand me? We just had a really good night out here in Columbus, Ohio. It's been powerful. Incredible day. You know, being able to go to these different cities, you know what I mean, that are different than some of the bigger cities. I actually like it more. You know, the bigger cities have a different level of pretentiousness and less appreciation. You feel me? But when you come to these spaces and you get to really connect with people, man, it feels good. I'm going to be honest with you. It feels great, actually. You understand me? It has really opened my eyes. Again, man, I was really poured into this just tonight. There was a lot of people that was pouring back gratitude. I want to really thank the African American Wellness Agency for bringing me out here in the first place. It was a powerful evening. I unlocked some levels within myself. You know what I mean? As I was going through my studies, you know, I'm always searching for the solutions and better ways to really reach our people. And I found some better ways, right? Some ways to unlock the mind that I think is going to allow me to really help millions of people, right? To where they'll be able to see themselves and really be able to, I believe, expand and finally grow and live the life that they want to. Something that I talked about today is that there's so much that we know that we can't get ourselves to do. I want y'all to think about that just for a second. There's so much that we know that we can't get ourselves to do. And a lot of time we think it's an issue. My brother say, give an example. Well, when it comes to finances, right? When it comes to our businesses, when it comes to life and our goals, we are a generation that has unlimited knowledge, but we have very limited execution, right? And so what the real problem is that I see that we facing, it's a cognitive issue. It's a function of the brain, right? And so it's not that we need more information. We have enough. We know what to do, but we can't get ourselves to do it. We can't organize ourselves over time. And what ended up happening is because we're dealing with a world that's distracted, and the executive function of our brain, which is the neocortex, is essentially that brain that says think over time, plan over time, and execute. It allows you to focus. But when you can't control that part of the brain, then another part of your mind start activating. You start looking for a feeling of pleasure, of reward. And so we know what to do, but we can't get ourselves to do it because we can't control our actions over time, which is what's required to plan out something. So when you're living in consistent trauma, right, when you're distracted consistently, when we're over-scrolling, it destroys our ability to plan the future and to control future outcomes. So instead, we wait for everything to get close, and we only respond and act essentially when there's an emergency. When the future feels so close, we just got to react. And so if you can really dial down on that point, and you start to realize that it's not a lack of willpower, it's a lack of good systems in your life. And so I was really thinking about wealth as consciousness, and I think it's just ways that our generation has never been taught. Developing a financial consciousness, developing a financial wealth that allows one to finally unlock what they know. Do I feel like I don't need to teach you more in the sense that you need more, just more information? You just need to learn how to unlock what you already know, what's already inside you that you are having a hard time getting access to, having a hard time saying, you know what, in 3 months I can plan something out, I can write it down, and I can execute. But why is it that you can give yourself an order, but that order is not complete? I'm going to wake up and I'm going to do a thing. But it never happens, and we continuously just rob our future selves. And so the current reality we looked at and we're enjoying right now, or not enjoying, the suffering through, is because all our yesterdays, we didn't pour into ourselves. So today, we don't get to enjoy it. We dehydrated. And I see a world that is in a cognitive decline. I see a world that is distracted everywhere we go. I see a world of lower consciousness. I see a world of low intellect. I see a world where every time you get on these phones, you understand me, it's something that is pulling you because capitalism needs to control your attention. And they control your attention, they control where your mind flows, your energy flows, your money flows. And so I'm speaking to some young kids, man, today, or what was it, yesterday? Some of them are at risk. Young brothers got cases and things of that nature. And they sat there and listened. Sat there and listened the whole time, quiet. I mean, we in the middle of the hood. And what I realized, though, afterwards, man, they had some brilliant questions. You couldn't even tell they was listening. But I knew they was, because they was controlling themselves enough so they can be attentive to something that they believe was important to them. And based on the questions that they were asking, I could tell that they did not have a guide in their life, because they were just waiting to ask somebody the question who they thought really cared, who they thought that they respected. My goal is to get the youth. The youth are the ones that revolt. The youth are the ones that revolt. The youth are the ones that say, I'm tired of this goddamn world. I was looking at a trend and say in 2022, there was a fall off of the internet, meaning that less people are watching. Watch hours are going down. But that was Gen Z, millennials, boomers. They still watching, holding on to it. Gen Z is watching a little less. It's tapering off. The internet is already peaked. See, they tired of the world. They dissatisfied. But I was always taught that, not always taught rather, but I learned that a public that is sufficiently entertained shall never revolt. And even when I was in front of the young man, man, it pains me to know that, you know, we need more resources for this mission, because they need assistance, and we need to be having that sort of omnipresence. Because that right there, when you don't show up for them, you wonder why they're going over onto the side of the enemy. Or you wonder why they're going into the gates of the enemy. Nobody's showing up for them. Not in a way that they need to. It's different. When I was in Bermuda, man, they told me, they say, man, Farrakhan ain't been to Bermuda like 15 years. And then there was nobody that had came to Bermuda. And the reason I bring that up, because last time he was out there, because there was a gang war going on, and he was trying to stop them and get into conflict resolution. And I'm like, when I realized it, though, and this is what a lot of people don't recognize about just the nation itself, as we may take for granted. When their presence disappears, right, when a leader disappears, right, there is nobody to fill that gap. So those people just go without. And you're like, well, I didn't like the nation. Or I didn't like this person. Or I didn't like that. I didn't like their way. But you're not willing to replace the presence, right? To replace the consciousness, to replace the impact that they have in people's lives. This is the reason I don't go around stripping people down and trying to destroy people that I disagree with, because I don't know if I can replace the impact that they have in the people's lives who are following them. And you go to these places, and when I realize, man, it's like pouring water in a desert. There used to be an oasis. We used to remember when there was an oasis of revolutionary speakers and leaders and thinkers and programs and community activation all around. The elders remember it. The elders remember going through all of the different leaders of all the different times. And them being able to get a glimpse and a remnants of that when I step into spaces is very powerful, but it's like, I'm not trying to be a relic, a memory, you know what I mean, that gives nostalgia. I'm not trying to be that shit. I want to see real impact or real action in my lifetime. And that Elder poured into me today. He said, you will see it. And I believe that, right? And I think a lot of people be wondering, Keys, why you still fighting? And I think a lot of time they say that because they like, man, I gave up. And I know that if I don't give up, then it keeps other people going. This is a great time to be alive. And great, I don't mean that it's like good morally or things of that nature. But if you ever wanted to see an empire fall, you get to witness it in your lifetime. I didn't tell you how it was going to be, but this is what it looks like. This is what it feels like. If you ever wanted to see an empire fall, congratulations, you're alive to experience it. A great empire at that. Now, what will you do? What will you build? What power will you control? What new systems will you create? What alternatives will you provide? How will we reconnect? How will we rebuild? And how will we build together? More importantly, I take my work very seriously, and most people may not get to understand that until you get to meet me. And you don't see all the stuff we do behind the scenes and what happens behind the scenes. So I get it. You see me just as a person on social media, slide down your phone. I don't care. What matters to me the most, man, is the people that I impact. There was this young lady, she'd be all like, I don't know, maybe 6, 7 years old. She said, Keys, she said, me and my mom was watching you. She said, me and my mom was watching you. She said, I was watching an episode today, earlier. And she said, you know, it's an episode with you and Tabitha. She said, I was inspired. Young lady, young girl. It's just like, can I take a picture with you? I just appreciate you. And she hugged me tight. You know, that kind of impact to reach the youth. You know, she started almost crying. I don't know what I did for her in her life, what that moment really meant for her. But I don't care what a person says, what somebody does. They can never take away moments like that. And they most likely, those who are spending time criticizing what they do not understand will never have other people connect to them in that way because they have not connected to themselves that deeply enough. The only thing somebody should be doing is figuring out, how do I help this brother do more? If that's not your stance, then you're my enemy. Because I'm at war every single day for us. So who gonna go to war with me? Who gonna build with me? That's all I want to know. So I appreciate y'all. You understand me? Now this happened tonight. This wasn't InvestFest. This was tonight. Focus on the people you impact. Focus on the outcomes you can control. There's a lot in this world that will go on. Don't allow your mind to be so distracted in the darkness that you can't see the light. Peace to the gods.